Well, we're going to get to it now. It's time to become the tip of the spear. And I want everyone to listen to what I have to say because it will change your life. It'll change the life of your children and your grandchildren, and it is important to listen not just to me, but to the voices of wisdom from everyone who has spoken. As I said to Mr. Griffin last night, we have vision because we stand upon the shoulders of giants. This man is a giant. You've heard the wisdom of giants. And it's important for everyone to take personally what I'm about to say. Because this isn't about just business as usual. This is about your life. Literally, your life. If we do not stop the Federal Reserve, many of you in this room will die. And that is a fact. I hate to be this blunt, but it is important for you to understand that the civil unrest that's been talked about is aimed at us. Aimed at us. It is coming. It is coming. What I'm going to say here is not comfortable, is not politically correct, it's not happy, it's not fun. It's simply the truth. So I'm going to take you through a presentation. I had a lot of problems last night with technology, so I'm going to avoid that by simply avoiding the technology. This is the only slide you're going to see. I've got a nice 150 slide presentation. You're not going to see it. So please just listen to me because I don't want you to miss a thing. It's time to take a stand. It's critical, as you heard Mr. St. John say. We have to draw a line in the sand, and now is the time. You heard the judge say last night, now is the time. It's not tomorrow, it's not next week, it's certainly not next year. We have to decide today. Each one of you is going to have to make a decision today about whether you're going to be part of the solution or part of the problem. And the traditional American way of kind of standing in the middle and waiting to see which way the wind blows is simply not going to work because you're going to get mowed down if we do not stop the Federal Reserve. And as you've heard, we live in an incredible time. This is the time that will test us. We have an opportunity, as few people do, to save this nation in ways that have never been tested before. But it's going to take all of us working together in order to do that. And today I'm going to talk about a way that this has worked in the past, can work again, and must work. It must. Because if we fail, you won't even recognize this country in 10 years. And many of us in this room won't be here. And that's a fact. Ronald Reagan said that if we lose our economic freedom, we will lose all of our freedoms. And we're about to lose our economic freedom. You wake up every morning, you can feel it in your bones. You know something is fundamentally wrong. It's very difficult to get your arms around it because, as I said last night, there are three ways that this is happening to us: deception, infiltration, and plunder. These are the three mechanisms that are ongoing and have been ongoing for a long time. You just heard Paul St. John say that we can't depend upon Congress to change this. We can't. They're bought off. In fact, some of the most amazing things is that we as Americans still believe that there's a two-party system, that one is a counterbalance to the other. What a fraud. What a fraud. They both work for the same guys. As I said last night, just different rhetoric. We have to understand that this is the way that things have worked for a long time. We're being given false choices. Do you ever hold your nose when you go into a ballot box? I do. There are so few people out there that really stand for the true values of what this country means and what made it great. But those have been eroded. And today we have politicians. In fact, a question was asked last night of the judge, what's the difference between a statesman and a politician? And I love this old quote. A statesman thinks about the next generation. A politician thinks about the next election. For those of you who are skeptical or don't understand why this is so important, that's why I'm here tonight, and I'll be speaking at 11 o'clock tomorrow for about an hour on this subject. I only have 20 minutes, so I'm going to rush through this a bit. But there are some very important things that everyone in this room needs to understand about the Federal Reserve and its impact on our lives. And if people want to look around and try and understand what's the problem, why is everyone having problems today, why aren't any government solutions being delivered and brought forth, we're being prepared to fail. We are being prepared to fail as a nation. And I, for one, just won't stand for it. So, tonight's presentation is only going to be for those of you who are interested in helping to save this country. And I believe that everyone here has come because they want to do that. I'm not a prophet or a disciple, but I have studied this for a long time. And what I'm going to do tonight is do my very best to present the truth as I see it and as many learned scholars see it today. Because I believe that you can handle the truth. Have you ever heard the old saying that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? It doesn't actually have to be that way, but that's the way the system is rigged. And tonight we're going to talk about how that happens, and it's called fraud. Fraud is actionable in court, and that's what we're going to be talking about is fraud, because fraud is like a cancer. Being a physician, I know a lot about cancer, and it is destroying the very fabric of our country. But there is a way to stop it. But first, we have to take things into our own hands, and it is imperative for us to take this action into a broader context. Because if you don't understand the geopolitical features behind, the powers behind the throne here, suing the Federal Reserve will make very little sense to any of you. And that's why I want to present this in more of a broader context. Because what we have to understand is that everything that we hold dear, everything that we believe in, is at stake. Everything. And that's what we have to look at, is what everything is. Because if you love something, you should protect it. I love America, I love my family, I love my wife, my children. I want to protect them. I also want to protect my country. And in my opinion, the best way to do that is to abolish the Federal Reserve. Because individual liberty and freedom are under attack. You heard Sheriff Mack talk about it. It is subtle, it is persistent, and it is in every level of government today. Our individual freedoms and our liberty are under attack. But the attack is global. It's being coordinated by a small group of very powerful and wealthy men. It's been going on for centuries. And they have plans for us. They have plans for us. We're going to talk about what those plans are. They call themselves the New World Order. That's not the name that we gave to them. It's not a conspiracy theory. They admit it themselves. The New World Order are globalists who have declared a silent war on us and every lover of freedom around the world.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
The UN's peacekeeping role, in other words, confiscate all of our weapons and subjugate us in a one-world government. If you don't believe me, look it up. Do your own research. This is what is happening to us today. The United States is a critical, key piece of this role of global domination. And the way it works is very simple. The United Nations was founded by an international banking cartel. It's controlled by the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, which just happens to own as wholly owned subsidiaries. It's a private corporation. It owns the International Monetary Fund, and it owns the World Bank. It owns them outright. So whenever you hear about the International Monetary Fund and the United States giving $400 billion, it's basically giving it to a private bank. Our money